guys. Today I have an incredibly rare and incredibly beautiful 1/8 scale kit with me here. This is the DeAgostini collaboration with Kyosho. This is the 1/8 scale Hummer H1, and I've had this thing for such a long time. I'm absolutely in love with it. I don't really drive it much. It's mostly used as a display model because of the high detail that it has. What I liked about this thing is the uniqueness. You couldn't really buy these things off the shelf, or you couldn't just go to like a local hobby store or hobby shop and buy this thing. Initially you had to get a subscription from DeAgostini and you build it as a kit, and it wasn't cheap, but you mostly had to wait almost a year for the subscription to end so you can finally build this kit, because you build it month by month for 12 months. So I kind of complained to them. I don't know if they took what I had to say into consideration, but then they started making it as a kit so you could purchase the whole thing and kind of skip that subscription process. So I've just, you know, I really appreciate the little details on this thing, because I have the real 1:1 scale Hummer H1, and it makes me kind of appreciate the little fine details of this thing even more. And it's nice to have an RC car like this, which is, you know, a very scaled, detailed body that's plastic or whatever fiber they make it with. It's not a polycarbonate. The lights, the little things, the mirror adjustability, I mean, I don't know if you can see here, but it's very, very scaled. Antenna just as the real thing. Let's take a look at these things side by side. I mean, the level of detail on this thing is so scaled, it's not even funny. From the wheels to the suspension. Another thing which is amazing is, you know how the H1 comes with portal axles? Because in the real thing, the drive shaft doesn't go straight to the wheel. It goes to these set of gears right here, which are geared down to like a 2:1 ratio. And that gives you this awesome ground clearance for the H1. So the RC car is actually built to that exact specification. As you can see, the drive shaft doesn't go to the center of the wheel. It goes to these, you know, this geared hubs right here, and that connects to the wheel. So I just, you know, again, appreciate all the levels of detail on this thing. Another thing that really works perfectly with this kit is the fact that it is a Nitro RC car. It is not an electric car, so the level of realism is even more amazing, because the real thing is a diesel, and diesel engines are pretty much the same as Nitro engines, with the exception that they take diesel. But the process of the pressure and the glow plugs and the heating of the glow plugs, for example, this is a glow igniter. Now this is an external glow igniter which I use to start and to heat up the glow plug in this engine. Now the Hummer has these things but built into the engine. So when I start the Hummer, I basically have to start it in the same way that you start the RC car. I put the glow plug in it, but over there with the ignition switch, it starts to warm up the glow plugs, and it'll tell you to wait. It has a button, it'll tell you to wait until the glow plugs heat up, because it's a diesel engine. Then you can go ahead and turn the ignition on, and then it'll start. So the fact that this thing has so many of the characteristics of the real thing is just phenomenal. And I don't want to talk too much about it. I know you guys want to see it drive around, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. So let's start this beauty. Another thing I really appreciate about this thing is the fact that I don't really need to remove the whole body to start it. The roof basically acts as a latch. So here you can see the engine, you can see everything, all the components that you need. The only difficult thing I would say is the refueling. You probably need to remove the whole body, but to start the engine and to start the switch, it doesn't need much. Another thing is that I left it as an old school crystal setup. So this is not a 2.4 gigahertz. This is the exact original remote and receiver that comes with the kit from Kyosho. So that's just another thing that I really like. And honestly, I don't need a really fast 2.4 gigahertz radio system here, because I'm not racing it, and I'm not really, you know, bashing it hardcore. This is a scale model and it's beautiful. Even has my license plate on here to replicate the real thing. So I want to keep this thing as good looking for as long as I can. And again, like I said, I use this thing as a display model, so I want it to stay crisp and clean the whole time. see what I mean by the refueling process is not too hard, but it's not the friendliest because I have to remove the body. So now, there we go. Perfect. See what I mean? Like, the chassis is really nice, really well made. Here you get a clearer image of the portal axles right there, and you can see how it really does have a good amount of ground clearance. let's do a 360 walk around of this beauty, and I just want to say that I am absolutely in love with the little details, you know. DeAgostini and Kyosho's collaborations are known for that, but for me, having the real thing, I really appreciate the minute details of having a kind of a plastic genuine body on top of it, not necessarily a polycarbonate. The little details, the warning labels, the lights, the trucker lights, simple things like the tow hitch, the tow, and also the light over the license plate and the rain guards on the top, you know, some things that one wouldn't necessarily notice. For example, if I didn't have the original Hummer H1 in 1:1 scale, I would probably overlook those things. But having the real thing and looking at the level of detail of this kit, it really just makes you appreciate it even more. And I love the fact that despite it being a hard body, you don't really have to remove the body to start the car. You just have a little access hatch, which the roof is basically the access hatch. So you do this and you take it out, and there you go. You have now access to the engine inside and everything, you know, the switch to turn it on, and it runs on any 6-volt receiver battery, so any one of those would work. It's just really cool. I mean, I love when things like this were made. Sadly, it's discontinued right now, but you know, I'm just very thankful and fortunate that I was able to get one of these kits. And again, one thing that makes this kit even more special is the fact that you couldn't just buy it off the shelf like a ready to run, and you couldn't even buy it as a kit. Initially, they came as like a subscription, so it usually took 1 year to build this kit. But then Kyosho and DeAgostini said, you know what, some people are impatient, such as myself, and I kind of complained to them because I was in the UK when I bought this, and DeAgostini and Kyosho in the UK are different than the ones in the US. And this wasn't really available that much in the US. It was mostly available in Europe for some reason, despite it being an American, you know, gem and kind of an American icon, which is the Hummer H1. Yeah, so anyways, I complained to them, and I don't know if they listened to my complaint or anything, but shortly after that, they, instead of making a subscription, they said, you know what, you can buy the kit for, I forgot, close to probably, the total kit was probably $1,200, and then you can just build it at your own pace. Getting to drive this thing around the real Hummer H1 is such a cool experience, you know. This thing is absolutely super realistic, and you can kind of see that in the videos, but also in real life, it really looks and sounds realistic on idle, especially. Obviously not when the nitro engine is revving really high, but once it's idling, it kind of gives you that, you know, little diesel impression, which is, again, another thing that's super cool. And I know when I talk about nitro RC cars, a lot of people like to tell me electric is quicker, and I understand that. Believe me, I have a lot of experience with electric RC cars like the Arma Limitless, Traxxas X01, HPI, Savage Fluxes, and all that stuff. They're cool, but people who like to say that electric is faster, of course, I agree with that, but you're really missing the point behind such a video and behind such a machine. You're not really designing something like this to just go for outright speed. And I'll always stand by my opinion that my Nitro RC cars, at least for myself, I have a lot more fun usually with my Nitro RC cars. Now, obviously, if you're trying to go for like an RC car speed record, then yes, you're going to probably get an Arma Limitless and just modify the whole thing, or a Traxxas X01 and just try to go for that top speed record. But that's not what these things are about. And anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, I will see you guys next time. Ciao.